UIC Liberty TV. Change you can trust.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of UIC Liberty TV. This is Joseph Patterson, and I'm looking forward to having our chat tonight. We're going to be talking with the, one or two representatives of the Maroon. We're going to be looking at how the Maroon community fits into Jamaica. What are some of the challenges? What are some of the issues affecting the Maroon community? And try to see what the future holds for the Maroons under a UIC government. What are the implications for the Maroon people and Jamaicans at large? So tonight is an educational show. We're going to try to make sure we fully understand at least the perspective of one or two representatives of the Maroon community. So welcome and good night to all of you, wherever you are in the world. It may be good afternoon, it may be good morning, depending on where you are. We have friends over there in the UK. It will be very late for you right now. And all over the US and Canada, people in Jamaicans in Japan, Australia, Cayman Islands listening, watching. So thank you all for joining us wherever you are. Big up Miss Juliet Chambers, Mr. Barry Smith, some of the first persons to be on the program tonight, Lenworth Duffus. Please go ahead and like, share, and comment. Let us know where you're watching from so we can get a feel for where people are. And, share anything you'd like as we begin the program tonight. Welcome, Jacqueline Lawrence and Kirk. Big up yourself. Good to see you on tonight. As you know, the UIC, the United Independence Congress of Jamaica, is a human rights, liberty-focused political movement here in Jamaica, and we're designed to unite, liberate, and empower the people of Jamaica around the concept of good governance. And so we're on a mission to reclaim our country. We want to reclaim our country, we want to reclaim our land, we want to reclaim our lives. And a big part of that land and country and culture and life are those who identify as the Maroons. Now, I see all of us as Jamaicans, but we do want to make sure we listen to and hear from our brothers and sisters. There's a statement, a motto, if you will, that says, out of many, one people. I particularly like that motto because it reflects the fact that we are drawn from a wide expanse of nationalities and culture. You know, some of us are mixed up. We have Indian blood, Chinese blood, and most importantly, African blood. We have Irish blood, in some cases, French blood, in others, Spanish blood. So we're kind of mixed up where that is concerned. But in any event, we identify for the most part as Jamaicans. We also have differences in terms of religion. You know, some of us are Christians, some of us are Rastafarians, we have Muslims among us, and we have other forms of religion that you and I may not even know about. But the end result is that the UIC stands for all of you. We want to represent all Jamaicans, regardless of your blood lineage, regardless of your religious affiliations, regardless of your ethnicity. We want to make sure that your rights are fully protected if you're a part of this society called Jamaica. But we have a great affinity for Africa because the vast majority of us are of African ancestry. And as you know, as Africans, we have a unique history which speaks to the journey that we have taken from our motherland to be a part of the African diaspora and how we fit into that. So tonight we want to pay attention to our African roots and speak to that in the context of the group of people or subset referred to as Maroons. What does it mean to be a Maroon? Where them come from? Who are they really? What kind of rights or responsibilities they have in this geographic piece of the planet that we call Jamaica. Tonight we're going to talk about that. Kirk is calling in or watching from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Wonderful, Kirk. And Leo says good night from New York. And Magallian says, you know, UIC all the way, of course. So yeah, man, we're going to get into it. I wonder if Mr. Gadietzz is available to join me now. Brilliant. Here's my brother. Good night. Let me see if I get this right. Nayang Kapong Ras Gadietzz. Good night. Good night. Can you hear me?
I'm hearing you now. You hear me?
Loud and clear. Loud and clear.
Grand rising. Grand rising. And thank you for inviting us over tonight. Nayang Kapong Pikibu. Nayang Kapong Pikibu. Children of the Most High. That's what it's meant. You know, the Great One. This is a term that is used by our ancestors because our language is very important to us. So Nayang Kapong is Ancients of Days before the Jesus ship and all of these religious domestication that happened to our people. So I'm a high priest with the Nayang Kapong government, global government, that is seeking to liberate our brothers and sisters. We shall have it. Thank you for having me tonight.
Wow, that's quite a mouthful that I want to unpack for our viewers as we enter into this discourse. I want to understand what all of that mean. We hear terms like high priest, we hear terms like Nayang Kapong. I hear some other terms that we can't even pronounce. I'm going to show me can pronounce it properly. Oh, you said that again, Nayang Kapong, and you said Pikibu or something like that.
Patwa, Mr. A patwa and a brother Joseph. Patwa, picnic. So our ancestors Pikibu, just like how we say Komya, Kude, are the Ya language, the Twa language, our language.
So say it again for me. I would say Pikibu, but
Nayang Kapong, Pikibu.
Nayang Kapong, Pikibu.
Yeah.
Pikibu.
Yeah.
Pikibu. And Pikibu means again?
The picnic, you know, I your offspring that, you know, we are the offspring. We are the offspring of the great one, Nayang Kapong. That is the name, like you say, Yeshua, yeah, in that terminology.
Okay, so when when a Maroon says Nayang Kapong, it's like saying Yeshua in whatever other religion, or Allah in another religion. So I get it right.
All right. We are going to start the reasoning because first and foremost, let me just say, we have a language situation, you know, and the people on the street, this is what is separating our people. Because we suffer because of the lack of knowledge, you know. So we don't know how to talk, you know, because them beat out some of the traditional communicative skills that our ancestors have taught us. So we are, if even the term maroon, as what you said, marooned, maroon, it's a description. It's not like, oh, people are trying to say, yeah, it's not a village, name a maroon, or you know, it is Cimarron, a description in the Spanish word. They would describe us as the Seminole people, Cimarron. The Caucasian or the European have been going around and pronouncing our language in some very short span. So we have the correction now to get it corrected, you know?
Good.
Yes, so we're a spiritual people.
So what we're going to do tonight now, we're going to take it slow, because you have some maroon dons like myself who don't understand or know all of them things. So we're going to take it slow. So a while ago, I just learned about Pikiboo. So we go. And it's Pikiboo.
Nayankapong.
Nayankapong. Really like saying a child of God. But our God is
the strongest language to communicate with the creators. We have to reach to those language, you know. So when we say Nayankapong, our brothers and sisters in Al-Cable land, aka Africa, they feel that energy immediately. There is power in words.
Okay. Got you. Stick up in there. So let me just welcome Abraham Cornwall. Good evening, Mr. President. All the way from Toronto, Canada. Enough blessings. Welcome, Abraham. The president isn't on. Her name is Dr. Coretta Brown Johnson. I am now the chairman of the UIC, and of course, you all know me as the founder. Greetings, Ms. Powell, VP of the UIC from the county of Surrey, and greetings to Chanel Gordon. Said God picked me, so she's helping me to understand, you know, God picked me. So Nayankapong Pikiboo, God picked me. All right. Beautiful. Thank you. And I see you, Miss Dottie Patterson, my namesake, on the call as well. She said was wondering what's that. I know she's not wondering anymore because we've made it very clear for her. Thank you very much, my brother, Ras Gadiethz. Now, what does Ras Gadiethz mean to us? How should we interpret that when we hear that as an adulterated African?
All right. As I said a while ago, our language have to be fully sharpened now, because we are in a time where, you know, our words have strong meaning. English is the lowest vibration of language that we can speak, because every alphabet have a language. There's a language, a B language, a C language. Kuya, we are Twa people. Most of our language end with ya. But you said that to give a small synopsis as to Ras Gadiethz. Ras Gadiethz hail from the glorious mountains of St. Mary, Zion Hill. Yes, Richmond, my place where our ancestors have been occupying from before 1655, when the British them passed around here, because we have a great thing go on. So I am a man from St. Mary, and been living in Jamaica up until around 20. We have been living in our communities with our grandparents, you know what I mean, and great grandparents, because I grew up in a house come say great grand. No one grandmother or grandfather, but two. You know, so whole heap of legacy they taught us, and they always inspire in us as youngsters the state of a liberated man or woman, where we were given our farm at very tender age. Whole heap of orange we grow and banana we plant, and we usually make the trip to Coronation Market, so we know how the communicative skill go on. Our grandparents are highly business people. Well, you know, we started to travel, and you know, after traveling, we see where the teachings of Marcus Garvey is one of the most prominent literature, or one of the most sought after energy on planet Earth that the conscious mind people go over. So we start studying, getting to know more, and as you know, to bring it to a cut, we start to liberate our brothers and sisters through the knowledge of the 1738 Maroon government that was before 1962 to liberate our people. And here we are right now, Nyan Kapong, sovereign global government headed by His Excellency L.A. Lewis in the Emperor office, and we're doing great things globally.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Ras Gadietzz. Is there any meaning to your name that you could highlight for us? Why Ras mean? Let me say it differently. Let me say it differently. In the Jamaican, the normal Jamaican context, we hear about a person of a first name like Joseph, and a last name like Patterson, and a middle name begin with L, for example. So my little English name, which replaces my African name that I don't know, and my African heritage that I don't know. But you have a name that is peculiar compared to mine. It says Gadietzz. Yes. What does that mean?
Well, as you know, from birth, our parents was tricked, and we were all given a straw man. Your name, Joseph Patterson, is on the stock markets as much as my government name that I have. So knowing that we are not properties or any stock of any corporation, whether it be Jamaica, America, England, or anywhere, I had to have my own appellation, Ras Gadietzz. Now, Ras is head creator, as His Imperial Majesty, when he put on the crown, the Holy Trinity, he became the head, Ras Tafari. So I say Ras, and Gad is from the tribe of Gad that Israel must depend on as its defender. So we are here to defend the rights of our people, both spiritually and physically.
Okay, so let me challenge that a little bit now. So Ras is coming from Rastafari, right? And Rastafari is coming from a very intelligent and noble gentleman of Ethiopia that we know as, what is his name normally? His full name?
His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie.
Right. So when you hear like a Bob and said Ja Rastafari, that's what he's referring to, Haile Selassie the Great. Okay. And so that's where you're coming from, with Ras being the first part of your name. Go ahead.
And to make it even, we as Maroon have royalty, because His Imperial Majesty is a Maroon, you know. Yeah. Okay. So this color has 78 different shades, and His Imperial Majesty is a Maroon before him a Rasta time as a Maroon. Before we get any other appellation, our description as living man is the Maroons. That's why you see we cherish these legacy of our ancestors, because the Moorish Empire and all of our greatness before Rome and Greece is documented. We are the true leaders. We're not asking for verification.
Hold it now. You're saying some. So you use the word appellation. And again, for those of us who must apply, the appellation means.
Just like when you have a police and a riot police. A police is an appellation, a nurse, a teacher. These are appellation that they all use, you know, but that's just your levels. Where a police, I can't say a police shoot me. I have to say, Roy, the police shoot me, because the police is just the appellation.
Okay, got it. All right. And then you also mentioned the Moors. Who are the Moors?
The Moors are the Maroons, but as I said before, the Caucasoid people, the people who were living in the Stone Age, they go around and they mispronounce our language, because, as I said, English, if I'm going to talk to you in English, I can talk to any dunce in English, and I'm not disrespecting anyone. But if I start to speak Swahili or Japanese or Chinese, you don't know it. And this is how our language go. We have a language that we have to learn, and we have to start pushing it forward, because the European has corrupt our language. Yes.
Well, let me just say
a
big shout out to Evelyn Baringer. Welcome, Evelyn. And Flipping Pages Stir and Sauces. I am assuming that is a business. Flipping Pages Stir and Sauces. Good to have you on tonight. Sticking to this more for a little bit more. Who are the Moors?
All right. There are several contradicting stories to our people, because our people suffer because of the lack of knowledge, and we're taught to be traitorous to each other. But the truth be told, the Maroons is the Moors, the Swahilis, the quote-unquote ancient man, because we have a description that can be referred to in this time. Now, the Moors, they are also, as I said, Maroons, but they have a story of ancient days, even more so than our Nyankopong Maroon in the country, in the place that they're calling Jamaica, because 1738 was really a monumentous time for all our brothers over this hemisphere, because at that time we were in a transition where it wasn't a fully colonialized era we were living in. People were still liberated, our brothers and sisters. This February Black History spell that they're putting on us about everybody come on ship. We see everything else except the ship them. So that's a lie.
We're going to come to that. Because I'm going to continue tonight. Only because I was a teacher in the class, and I find that as a teacher, you share things in bite-sizes, and you build on them so that the student can get a 360-degree understanding.
Yes.
So you mentioned the Moors. I just wanted to know who them people there. Where do you find? Where did you find the Moors? Where them come from? Where them end up? And what do they do? In a short, 1 minute. Summary.
All right. To elaborate on the Moors is a sect of Maroons, and as I said, the mispronunciation, because even the word Maroon comes from the word Cimarron. So the Moorish Empire now is a said Maroon community. We are all one.
Where were they?
These were the brothers and sisters who they say came from Morocco and other place of Al-Kaaba land, as far as the continent goes. But I can't pinpoint, because I'm in America and I cannot pinpoint a story here away from what's in Florida. But the Moors are said to be our brothers and sisters who came over, that was trading with the other brothers and sisters here from a longer time.
Came from where?
They came from all right. As you know, the story about the distance of Africa is a lie. So long before the inception of the colonizers, our brothers and sisters were trading before that.
So our brothers and sisters in Africa were trading with other nations. Like Europeans and Asians and East Indians.
Yes, it was a mix. It was a mix because if you know the dynasty of our people, when it comes on to the civilization of the rest of planet Earth, it is said that our spring starts in Africa, right? But when we study, we know that Africa wasn't the only place that our brothers and sisters were inhabitants of. There were other places. So we are establishing the fact that the Moors was some, aka the Maroons, was doing trade long before 1492, when you had the colonizers come in and try to stock it in their favor.
So the Moors then, if I'm understanding correctly, were people of African descent who share our color and were engaged in trading with other nations, maybe as far as Spain. Am I on the right track here?
Yes, you're marching in the right context, but we need to get this straight, because a lot of our brothers and sisters believe that when I say maroon, it means black, and I want to get this out of your thinking. When I say maroon, it is the shades of our people. Now, even the colonizers, they're a maroon, they're not white. That's an ignorant statement. So when I was saying that we're trading, if it shows that the River Nile was carrying goods and everything, come on down, and we were doing great trades before the quote unquote lie of Atlantic slavery, because there was no Atlantic slavery. These are fabricated lies to capture our mind.
Let's focus on the truth. Let's tell us the truth. Tell us what you're. So what I wanted to get at, to be clear about, is when you spoke of Moors, you were also speaking of Maroon.
Yes.
And when you speak of Maroons, you're not talking about persons who have dark complexion.
No.
So a Maroon can be a person who is as white as a European.
That's a shade. That's a shade of maroon.
Okay.
We must stop it.
Yeah. And as dark as the darkest skin African.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right. So maroon then is not about skin color. That's what you're saying.
No, it can't be about skin color. It's a description.
Right. What makes one maroon?
It's not what makes one maroon. It is like, for instance, Brother Joseph, we as brothers and sisters, I was in Jamaica growing up for 19 years, and I was not familiar with the Caucasian brothers and sisters as much as I'm seeing them today. They're maroons too. So I didn't have to adapt to live among them because they weren't among us, right? But the fact that as a maroon coming out, there's different culture within the maroons. It's different lifestyles, just like how the Rastafari and them have a differentness towards some of the ballad, them not eat the pork, and some say them not do certain things. It is a diverse settings of our people that we have difference in. It's not that we're better, but there's certain things that we do that benefit us better than them.
All right. I'm hearing that we have an echo. And I know that we have one because of the feedback we have on your end, but do mute your mic for me when I'm speaking, which you have done just now. Let me know, Scotty, if right now you're hearing a feedback, because I think it's only when we have Ras Gadietzz thing on that we have the feedback. So let me know if right now the feedback is gone. All right, back to Ras Gadietzz. I must admit that I am a little bit confused now, and I'm hoping you can help me to clear up my confusion. I want you to tell me in one simple sentence, who or what is a maroon in the Jamaican context or globally? Who or what is a maroon? So everybody's saying it good now. My voice is clear now because you turn off your thing. But when you turn it on, who or what? Just give me definitely, like say, okay, let's say we say, who is a Jamaican? And we say a Jamaican is anyone who was born and has the nationality of Jamaica, if that was a definition, for example. I'm just saying if that was a definition. So tell me the definition for a maroon, if there is any such thing.
In one sentence, a maroon is an indigenous man or woman to their location, their jurisdiction.
All right.
Not by appellation.
Right. And you're using that word appellation again. Turn off your thing now. So a maroon is a person that is identified with a particular landmass by virtue of them now being indigenous to that area. That's what you're saying.
If we, you're opening up a whole can of explanation.
Yes or no? Yes or no?
No. I cannot do that, because there is no differentiation who or what is a maroon. We are all maroon. But as I said a while ago, the difference is in our jurisdiction and our cultural values. That's where the difference comes in.
Let me play it back to you again and tell me if I get it right. We are all maroons. Every human being on the planet is a maroon. And our differences are based on our cultural norms. Did I get it? All right. So now we're more confused than before, but we're getting somewhere. Because me used to think, well, when I was in school, they taught me that maroons were runaway slaves. Now, I know I must take that with a grain of salt, because as a not too dunce Jamaican, I have decided long ago that I cannot trust those who tell my story. The conqueror is not going to write my story. He's going to tell me his story, right? And he's going to shape his story to reflect me in whatever light he wants to reflect me in. So I've learned not to trust them. But the story they told us was that maroons are runaway slaves. So they brought some slaves from Africa to Jamaica to help them on the plantation. And in the process, some of those slaves run off. And then they call those slaves. In fact, let me read something for you. Hold on, let me read something for you. I look it up on just to get a simple, which is really foolishness. It says, the Jamaican Maroons are often described as enslaved Africans and persons of noticeable African descent who ran away or escaped from their masters or owners to acquire and preserve their freedom. The word maroon is commonly believed to be derived from the English equivalent of the Spanish word cimarron or wild. Now that's interesting.
Stick up in right there. Stick up in right there.
Go ahead.
Stick up in right there. You are reading British literature about a Spanish situation. You hear what them say? You hear what them say? That the word cimarron mean a wild man who run away. Now, we must realize one of the biggest challenge we're having right now is from our educated brothers and sisters, because they, truth be told, they have been domesticated by the educational system, not in the benefit of our people, but in the benefit of the colonizers, because they speak like the colonizers. They understand and interpret our story as the colonizers wrote it to them. And we are facing a dilemma in that capacity. What you've just read a while ago is total garbage, because it does not give us any sort. Listen, let me bring it story to bump. In 1738, the British surrendered the Nyankopong Maroons, the Cockpit Maroons.
Don't go to Sunday. Because I want us to build on the knowledge. So the first knowledge set, what we're going to take away from you tonight is all of humanity are maroons as far as your teaching is concerned. And it's not about the color of your skin or the shade of your skin. It is about the fact that you are a maroon. As long as you're indigenous to an area, you're a maroon with that indigenous right in the area.
You're identified document wise, not within the scope of the corporation. Like, I want people to get this in their head clearly when I say we are all maroon. Now, maroon, which means in our understanding as a description in a Spanish word, undomesticated. that means that you are not caught up in 1962 walking around telling people you're a Jamaican, because Jamaica was not before 1738.
All right,
What
good.
were you before?
We're gonna come there. So I get it now, because bear with me. I'm slow, so I want to make sure I get it right. So a maroon, first of all, is everybody is a maroon. And what it comes down to now is identifying with your indigenous roots. And you have added another word now, or phrase, being undomesticated, meaning you have not been converted from who you really are into another person's or another group or another race or another culture. You have not lost your culture, or you have been reunited with your indigenous culture. So once you're not domesticated by some other fabrication, you are now a pure maroon, because you're back in yourself. You're back in your beginning. You're back in your roots. You know who you are. And, you're not mixed up, for example, being called Patterson when you might be Matumba Kinde, for example, and you now know who your grandparents and great grandparents and their religion and their way of life, and so you connect now with your indigenous nature. That's how it go. May I get it? Am I learning?
Yes, man. You're attached to your ancestors now, because you are your ancestor and your ancestors are you.
Okay, may I get it now? All right. So it's a big leap for a lot of us now, because we just learned say all the way a maroon, and we just learned say what we really are talking about is whether as a maroon you are reconnected with your unadulterated self based on your ancestral history. Yeah, I get it. All right, you give me an A so far, or B plus, or C.
We in a classroom and a whole heap of more papers to spin over.
Right, no problem. So the next question now then. Can you describe for us a brief overview of the history of the Maroons in Jamaica? So now we're talking about the Jamaican Maroon, or let me rephrase that. We're using the word Jamaica here because that is the language with which we are most familiar. Having been adulterated, as you have indicated, we have to use terms now that first get us to understand what we're talking about, and then gradually now we're going to change the words so that we're now speaking in the language of our ancestors. But first we have to talk in the language what them teach me. That's all. So give me a brief history now of the Jamaican Maroon, so we can understand what maroon mean in our context as Jamaicans.
All right, what was hidden from the wise and the prudent shall reveal unto the babe and the suckling. The $500 bill that all of you have in your pockets or under your pillow. It have on who? Nanny, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nanny of the Maroons.
Yeah.
So we tie that there is something right there. So now, Nanny of the Maroons, our oppressors write a very disrespectful story about a 1738-39 treaty that is lying to our people, telling them that it's a treaty. It was not a treaty. It was a surrender. The British redcoats was going around and they were creating havoc on our people. Now we have Maroon all over planet Earth, but at that particular time, it was our ancestor who draw the line in the sand and said, no more. No more. We're going to use everything and defeat you. And that revolution spire Toussaint Louverture, it spire and become a wildfire where right now, even down at the Gaza, our bloodline of ancestors are rising up because we don't stand for injustice. And injustice for one is injustice for all. So I hope I put everything to scope. Nanny of the Maroon is just one of the legitimacy as to the location that we call Jamaica that has the Maroon bloodline in it.
All right. Back up now. So So with my limited understanding, are you implying that if we take the history of this geography, this area of geography called Jamaica, the indigenous people of this land were here living, carrying on with them life, cooking, eating, sleeping,
making coconut oil,
reproducing, trading, singing, dancing, making babies, making love, everything going on. We're good. And at some point in that history, we encountered the Spaniards.
It's a very tedious situation, because remember, we're reading from the losers' books, you know. And the losers' books will
tell me the truth. No, you tell me.
yeah, but I'm trying to calmly turn over the page to the truth. But remember, we're dealing with ignorant brothers and sisters who will cuss me out tonight and say that I am mad like the emperor and Asta and Coco. But
forget about that.
Okay.
What do you want? Hold on. It hit the mute button again. Here what me and you going to do tonight. We want, when people leave this program, them not forget about what the naysayers want to say. Forget about what is wrong even so much with our history. We want you to help our people to know our story. And the story from your perspective, the Nyankapong Maroon perspective. What is that story? So you're going to tell us that in the beginning, you know, in some books they say in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. So I want you to tell us, in the beginning, here is the Jamaican Maroon, how it's all started, and the transition from Deso to where we are today. So from that point of the beginning to the point where we had any encounter with a group that may or may not be called the Spanish, to an encounter with a group that may or may not be called the English, to a place where we now have some people that call themselves our government and running our country, to a place where them can sell our lands or invade our lands and destroy our tapestry and chemicalize and otherwise injure our people, to the point where we are today and the struggle that those who call themselves Maroons in Jamaica are faced with. That's the history I want you to walk us through in as brief a time as possible from the beginning. Go ahead.
That's a lot of things you want me to compact in tonight's show. All right. It is written that in 1655, right? The British said they came around here. And when they came around to the island that they're calling Jamaica, they met some people that they say were Spanish. Now, we like to think about Spanish people as Caucasian or higher skin maroon. But truth be told, when you travel and go to places like Haiti and other places, you will see that our language is something that is diverse. Now, as to the 1655, when the British came and saw us, that they call Spaniard, just like how they said that Indian and those people, there was no cowboy or Indian. We are our people, but they're lying with the John Wayne movie and show we love laugh and things. Give me a minute. Now, as we said, our people been doing trade from way before the oppressors, if for a word, came along to strategize to tell us that, hey, they are the masters. There are several books out there that will tell you that some of the names that they're referring to, Blackbeard and Henry Morgan, them try to paint these characters as their people, when we know that some of these Three Finger Jack and them people there are our people that was giving them some serious blows. Now, when you talk about the brothers and sisters from the cockpit country. I want to ask you a question before I go any further. What is a cockpit?
Oh, you tell me.
A cockpit is where the pilot sits in the plane, right?
Oh, well, that's one, yes.
All right. No. That is the precise terminology. That is the meaning of cockpit.
Well, I'm not challenging you. I just want to make sure.
Okay. So I'm carrying on with our wording as to our location and what our ancestors did to get this sort of power in their hand, where every single quote unquote maroon Jamaican, no matter what we dip on planet Earth, our influence we are great people, because that is in our DNA, our ancestors. So to say this for a better thing, the Maroons from that jurisdiction has the responsibility of holding that moral ground that shaped everything, therefore, that is governance on planet Earth, because our ancestors were the ones who ignited that sort of rebellion against the injustice for all, because injustice for one is injustice for all. So that's why the Nyankopong Maroons, or the Maroons, brothers and sisters in that 144 square miles, is very much a force to be reckoned with.
Pause for a second. And mute your mic again. Let me get something very clear. Do we have a Jamaican Maroon, meaning, this piece of land, the people here who are indigenous to here, based on our definition of Maroon, so they're indigenous to here. I guess them start, or at least in their sojourn, this became their primary inhabited area where they develop their culture and identity and everything. So they're indigenous to here. I have another follow-up, but I want to clarify that for myself and my listeners. First of all, do we have an indigenous, this is the Maroon of Jamaica, regardless of whether they are in this part of St. Elizabeth and that part of Westmoreland and that part of Trelawney, just Maroon? Can we speak of the Jamaican Maroon? Is there such a thing?
I must refer back to what I said to you a while ago, because educated brothers and sisters have to confess it. Nanny of the Maroon was living in Jamaica, having sex in Jamaica, and offspring of Nanny Dede. And if offspring of Nanny Dede, Kodjo and Taki was also there. These are people that they record. Kiapo, who is buried in the National Circle right now, where I kick up. He is a Maroon, Kiapo of the Maroon. So hold on. I want to paint this out. Documentation is the difference with our people. Right now, our people are walking around with fraudulent documents. Fraudulent documents meaning...
Don't go there yet. Okay. I'm going to get there, Just if you bear with me, we're going to get to all of your key punchline. It's just that me like order. You see, the UIC, we have a statement, safe, clean, and orderly. For us, everything must be decent and in order, not because of the Christian Bible, but because we find learning takes place better when you do it in the, So I want to understand, yes or no. If I were to say
yes.
Okay, good. So the Jamaican Maroon. So there were people here in Jamaica from whenever began, and they're here. And is it safe to say they are of a darker complexion than the Maroons of another territory? Were they like looking more like the Africans that were here that made up the Jamaican Maroon? Let me just try to understand. Help me.
You're talking about nobles, because the brothers and sisters who were here when we were ruling Spain, as what they call it. Yes, we were ruling Spain. It was our people. And as I said before, the complexion of a Maroon is in different shades. So I will not tell you that there wasn't light-colored Maroon there. But it was more, if you look around Jamaica right now, it's dominated by my kind of people.
Okay, right. So the Jamaica, mute again. So the Jamaica we're talking about, because I just want to get this clear now. The Jamaican Maroon that we're talking about are these darker shade of people. You know, they might have variations, you know, degrees, but a darker shade of people that occupied this territory, and you're referring to them as the Maroons of Jamaica. Now, where them come from? Is here so them start, or they came from somewhere else? Were they, or is it that they came so long ago that tracing where they come from is irrelevant? They were here for so long. You know, like for example, if you go to Africa now today and you see a group of people there and they look like what we consider Africans to be, you wouldn't ask where them come from, even though they may have traveled, but it's so long they're there that they're now identified as that's their place. Is that what you're saying for Jamaica? There were some people here that they're a long time from there, and so now they were here well established and well anchored before anybody else come, like in 1492 or any other period, and they are the Jamaican Maroons. Yes or no? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm telling that long before captured brothers and sisters came around, that they brand as Jamaican, because I brand the people, let me know. Give them Jamaican fraudulent documents and say, no, you're not Maroon, you're Jamaican. And some of us are so gullible where we eat all of that sewage. You know what I mean? So I just want to say that yes, there is indigenous people before, and then there's captured brothers and sisters who were captured by the colonizers who joined that rank.
All right, good. So the Maroons of Jamaica were indigenous to Jamaica. Them there a long time. Nobody not bring them. They're not runaway slaves. They were here. And then now, let's walk through that history now. So was there a 1492 in your history where a brother come from somewhere and say that he has discovered this island called Jamaica? In your version of history, is that a fact or fiction? Did a Christopher Columbus come here?
I want to maintain a straight face here because I know I have educated. I know I have brothers and sisters who have them OD and them OBE. We are skin up them face, but that's one bag of hogwash. Okay. You have found it. Listen to me. Everywhere these pirate goes, they become founding fathers. We are the creating fathers. You cannot find something that I've created. You're holding stolen goods, just like the crown on Charles' head right now, stolen property. So that question is pure hogwash. I can't relate to it.
So was there? So okay, I want to get to the place where we now have an interaction between what you called earlier on the redcoats and my knowledge of history. Basically, I passed history now. I got straight A's in school for history. But remember, it was simply repeating. It was repeating what they tell me. I was good at repeating it, and I was good at writing whatever essays were necessary to communicate it. So I have been taught by the English tradition what our history is, and I was able to respond in a way that made them satisfied that I knew history. Later on, I learned that I didn't know, but that's fine. So I want to get this clear. I want you to just help me to bridge the gap from our indigenousness as Maroons here to the fact that you're saying to us that while we were here, we were really similar to our brothers that were occupying or ruling Spain, Morocco, and other areas all the way to the Middle East and North Africa. That's why you're telling me, right? I'm just trying to paraphrase it for everybody. So some brothers who were very close to us by coloration and variation and African ancestry were ruling North Africa through to segments of the Middle East into Europe, Spain. They call it the Moor Wars and stuff, and then battle it out. And at some point, the whiter Europeans organized and successfully pushed back the Moors. And again, I'm just repeating to you what I know from history, and you're going to help me to correct it for myself and others. But coming back to Jamaica, I want you to just bridge the gap from here. At what point did we get to be in a battle with the redcoats? walk me through, man, how we go from our indigenous nature, from our indigenous nature, having things under control, to ending up with now a battle with the redcoats. How did that happen? Bridge that gap for it.
All right. God bless Butch Stewart, him dead and gone. Joe Issa still playing the role, the Issa family them. You notice we have something in the island called, they call it offshore, or they call it the, when them build a hotel, what them call it? On the shore, North Shores. Now when these pirates came about, there is some arguments in some of the books saying that a contract was signed for them to get it for 100.
No, I'm gonna say it. Help me. Watch me.
Hold on, I'm gonna tell it.
Hold on. I'm gonna ask you to pretend to death, say in a court of law, and I, Joseph Patterson, my English name, is going to control you in the court and say, "More if you stick to when I ask you and answer this." So I want to understand clearly how we go from indigenous, free people running things on our own island to now having an encounter with the British. When I come here to the treaty, you know, more to understand that transition. What did happen? According to my English friend, Spanish came here and, you know, run things, and then the British come and beat them up and take over things. Fine, nothing goes up. Tell me exactly where go and brought us to the point where we're now fighting with the redcoats. How did we get from there? What happened? What is the history? In summary, what happened? Yeah.
All right. Remember we're at 1655, right? Where I was explaining to you that they say that they came over, because that's what their book says, and they saw people inhabitants on the island.
What do you say?
No, I can go on Google and find it if I have time.
No, I want you to tell me what you say.
Okay. No. I'm just trying to draw a timeline. So with the so-called discover the islands, because they were these sailors, other nation brothers and sisters, you know, the story is told that they come and them get discovered, treated good, everything, but after a while it become an invasion. And it's just like what you see happening today, where we give them our bed to sleep on, and then them lock the door and lock way out of the house. These are some of the circumstances that led to a rebellion, because truth be told, if we check the history book, there was not to say we didn't have hostility among our brothers and sisters, but it was not in such a uniform, like, oh, you see, they planned like the United Nations and go rob people and them thing there. We had civil, we were governed by common law, natural law, not maritime law. That's what they are controlling us with. So that's how the rebellion started up until now.
So pause again. Mute again for me, as I'm getting the feedback. So my people were living here in peace. Are you saying that in 1492 there was in fact an encounter or thereabouts where some people came across and they interfaced with us, and we welcome them with open arms because we're a peace-loving people, we are hospitable, we think them come in peace and we treat them well, we feed them, we show them even the ropes or how we do things around our place, and them say, boy, this nice, you know, and they even look at some of our women, boy, them shapey and thing, and, you know, and them get all happy and they're here and they drink a few, you know, beer and stuff. But in the process now, they cunningly start to try to take the upper hand now. From you ever invite somebody to your house yet, and at first you just invite them in, make a plate of food, you know, you're being hospitable, and they ask if they can just stay over because they have some problem, and you say, okay, you can just stay in the spare bedroom, and before you know it, them in the kitchen or cook, them start to say, okay, how the bills organized, and they're not leaving, and they start to gradually take over your house, and you have to say, hold on, brother, hold on a second here, this not gonna work, you know. I know you have a fight on your hand, but you might be surprised because they were more prepared than you, because while you were being hospitable, they were already hostile. So they were planning their hostile takeover. So they were mapping out your infrastructure, looking at your points of weaknesses, sowing seeds of discord, doing all kind of stuff to make things ready for their takeover. Are you saying to me that that is what happened as a result of the encounter with, say, the Columbus era?
Most definitely. That is what transpired between our brothers and sister earlier on, because it said that on several occasions they've been fighting us for 99 years. It is written that they were just like they're fighting for 99 years and they lost, because if you fight someone for over 50 years in military court, you lose. If over 50 years you can't convince me to adapt and domesticate to your garbage, you have lost. And that is what our ancestors was going through. They were going through the quote unquote invaders slash investors of this time who come into our jurisdiction, and they want to bring their laws and regulation and tell how we are supposed to live, and how come our coconut oil no good than so our ancestors say enough is enough, and up to this very day we draw a line.
So again, mutual thing for the benefit of my fellow weak-minded historians. What was going on here now? You're saying from 1492 to 1655, we had a relationship with those who came, the invaders. Now, the history books call them, first of all, Columbus, coming under the patronage of Queen Isabella and Ferdinand, who were Spanish, who would have been there at the time when the Moors were controlling Spain, if I understand. You know, they're different. You said history sometimes doesn't intersect, by logic. Or let me say, the logic is missing in the documentation, but when you apply logic and look at the timelines, so the Moors would have been already in control of much of Spain, but we're told that the Caucasian Spanish queen and king sent Columbus here and paid for his journey. So he came under the Spanish flag as far as they're concerned. But by your account, it could not have been, because if he came by the Spanish flag, then we'd be meeting ourselves.
What we must understand up to this very time is that infiltration doesn't mean an outsider sometime, Infiltration can be even your very dad in the house with you.
Tell me about it.
What we have learned is that Judas had some relative who didn't hang with him. Judas got hung, he hung himself, but his cousin and all those distant close relatives still lurks. And the Moors, that is where a lot of people are walking away from the Moors, because the Moors had offered some things from our dynasty that should not have landed in the hand of our oppressors. But the story can't be told, because I said a lot of people will be offended, because the place that they're calling Jamaica is actually King Solomon's grave. But that's for a different story.
All right, we'll get there at some point. So I'm just building my own narrative, because you tend not to want to tell me it clearly. So me kind of put it in my own way to kind of tell the people them. So what I'm seeing so far now is Columbus and them people them come here. The main fact have been infiltrators, and they come in and pretend, and then over time. So from 1492 to 1655, when the British account says they came and fought with the Spanish and beat them and take over Jamaica from them. And then later on now, they now start to have a problem with the Maroons, because the slaves were running away to the Maroons and they were fighting. May I come to you? I'm just trying to keep it sane for the rest of us who now have that high level of intellect, to make sure we have it connected. So here we are. You're saying some of the story goes so, but enough of it not go so. And how it go, you need to reinterpret pieces, because you're thinking one way, the way the Caucasian guys want you to think, but and I saw it truly go, but it have some connection. So in 1655 now, who the British were really fighting were not the Spanish, but the Jamaican Maroons from day one.
I just mentioned to you jurisdiction, you know, and Jamaica is located at a very important place on planet Earth, because we have to talk celestial in time we are talking, because our people have to know that these powers exist. Now, the place they call Jamaica is not just a place called Jamaica. It is a important portal. It's a very important portal. Our oppressors know this. Just like how Haiti is a very important portal, but because they have dumbed us to love ink and paper, aka money, we don't see what these portals are. Now, the brothers, as I mentioned, that our people was the one ruling Spain. Now, when Christopher Columbus came over with the on the vessels, our people was on the vessel too, but it was labeled as an explorative mission. They're going to explore, and up to this very day, that is the key that they use to get into your house for rob us. Zine. So differently, Christopher Columbus, when he came over here, there wasn't any animosity in our sense. Now, the red coats them now, the red coats, because we are the rulers and Christopher Columbus are our guests. Them people, they are our guests, them brothers and sisters there. The red coats now, they are the one who started to want this location, saying that, yo, I forget the location there, you know? And that is how the rebellion became our fight, because we now give up our homeland to none of them. None of them. This is our homeland. You share it with us or you leave.
Are you saying, mute for me again, are you saying that over the course of that period from 1492 to 1655 and shortly thereafter, another group of people came on the island, the British, let me call them that for simplicity, and they came on the island and they set up enterprise on the island. Part of their enterprise included the importation of African slaves directly from Africa. And while they were doing that, they encountered some challenges, because as they want to expand their frontier, they're naturally going to come into contact with other inhabitants on the island, who we call the Maroons, who govern the island generally.
No, we were the greater inhabitants of the island. Yes, so that is why they had to build their hotel on the seashores. And them says at least we give them, because our ancestors make them know, say, no capturing around here, so. No, it's not gonna work.
So let me narrate it and summarize it in a way, you know. So the British came, did they lease piece of land from me? That's what you're telling me. They lease a piece of the land from me.
No. Them cook up a hogwash story about leasing land.
Okay, got
Just
it.
like how them cook up a hogwash story about treaty up a kongpong, and a kongpong is a man, is not a place.
When I come back to that, so they were really squatters. So they came, as by your account, they came and them just find a piece of the land and just occupy it, them and squat on it. And over time, you have conflict now between them and the original inhabitants, okay? And fighting ensued. Now, between all of that, you had imported African slaves who found refuge among the existing Maroons and became a part of the Maroon family here. And so that's how the conflict developed. Now, eventually, that would become the necessity for some kind of negotiation to take place. And I want you to explain that to me now, because now you're going to get into this treaty issue. What happened there? So now,
All right, as I was saying, it wasn't a 1 year, 2 year rebellion.
Right. Over time.
It was a over 50 years going up to the 100 years marker, because we never surrender. They surrender. Now, when the British surrendered to our people, it wasn't Scottsall or Moortown. They were just giving up. it was relinquishing any ownership of our ancestral land. But what they did, let me not go so fast yet. Let me slow with you. After they had this rebellion, a surrender was initiated. And that surrender by our oppressors to our ancestors gave us the right to govern ourselves up until this time.
Okay, pause. In my estimation, nobody can give you any rights because you had that before, right?
All right. These ignorant brothers and sisters who are colonizers and invaders and investors, because of their unscrupulous English pattern, they tricked our people to believing that they are giving them right. But as you rightfully said a while ago, our inalienable right comes from the Creator, not any man who have blow breath upon earth. Them have no right over us. So our ancestors had to drill that sort of mind frame into those ancestors, and it was a bit violent. I can tell you, it was very violent.
Pause again for me, and bear with me because we really want to get through this here. You're saying that the Maroons caused the English to surrender. Just nod if that's yes. Good. So the Maroons fought, and after much fighting over a number of years, skirmishes and then big fighting and drawn out and losses on both sides, and how war go. And they fight on for a long time because them here, the invaders that try occupy the territory, they build fence, they put up guns and cannons, and they do their thing, and they send out scouts, and you send your own, they have your reconnaissance, your guerrilla warfare, everything that go on. So over time, the invaders say, boy, I can't take this no more. Too much attrition here, we're losing too much. So let's see if we can cut a deal, and you call that deal a surrender, and they say, listen, we must find a different way to do this. And so they surrendered. That surrender took place in what year, and what is the evidence of that surrender that you have?
All right, we go off of that surrender by the 1738-39 piece of documents that they're walking around with, trying to get legitimate ownership of what's not theirs. It says that their people send down 2 lawyers, and within that lawyer coming down, some form of initiation took place by Captain Akongpong. And Captain Akongpong did what he did, and yes, them bust the goody, drop the brandy night, mixed it up, and do a blood contract. That's a blood, because we spiritually we believe in a wobia, strong. I don't want to shift, because we fight them with many things. Now, that in itself was a symbolic gesture by the 2 parties recognizing that they have come to a ceasefire. And a ceasefire was initiated where our people was supposed to have their own police station, have their own Maroon schools, have their own Maroon appellations, and all of the above, governing themselves. That is why that was put forward, so the war could cease, because it was a very bloody war. I hear you mention a while ago that we use anything to our disposal as far as weaponry, but our people from ancients of days are great warriors. The term guerrilla fighter is from our people. It come from right now that little neck of the woods, and a lot of the Jamaicans down there believe that ackee and saltfish is a national dish for the Maroon. It's one of our greatest weapons in time of war. We don't even eat Maroon. We don't even eat ackee, because ackee liberate our people. Wally Bakra Master never wake up the next morning because the ackee did the work. So our ancestors was very powerful. We use bushes also to bring forth certain things where them a walk past and it kill them courage. Courage make you crouch till you can't. So it was a spiritual, mystical warfare up until this day. against the oppressors who are trying to take away our rights by any means necessary.
So in 1738-39, a peace treaty was drawn up in English.
The losers walked away with the pen and paper because the pen is more mighty than the sword. And that's why I just said to you a while ago, even the mere fact that you have a Jamaican passport, which is a fraudulent document because you're not a Jamaican, you're a Maroon. Jamaica is a own stamp and seal name on the stock market owned by the British Empire. Jamaica, sorry, go ahead.
I come to that. What I want to settle on, because I'm trying to do this history thing, you know, but you're a man who like to go off.
Sorry, I'm trying to stop eating. Sorry.
You're like a fishbone with whole heap of strands coming off of the fishbone. I want to go straight. I want to go from the tail to the head. You understand? So follow me now. So here we are. Fighting happened. Treaty now is signed in 1738. This is before the American independence in 1776. Yeah. Treaty is now signed between the Maroons of Jamaica, the inhabitants.
Surrender. Please use the right wording so we can get the power in the words.
No problem. So you said that the British surrendered, but in the surrendering, a document is produced, a document is signed off on by both parties.
No. The Esquire now, remember, is a goody, and the hand cut and the brandy is a symbolic gesture as to the surrender. Now, how can the loser write the terms of the surrender? That sound right to you?
No, but I want to make sure we have it clear. Again, mute me. What we're saying here is, and you help me with this, there's a document, so should we discard that document? Because the loser cannot write the treaty.
No, the loser cannot interpretate the meaning of the surrender. You surrendered. And because, what are some of the reasons why you surrendered? You were stealing our lands.
I gotta say it. Hold on. Me just want to deal with the surrender part and the treaty part, first of all. So, bottom line, you say them surrender, and them write a document, black and white document with their legalese, and it speaks their language. Yeah, it speaks their language. What evidence we have? What is it that we, the Maroons, have? What is it that they hold on to now as evidencing that surrender? And if it is indeed a surrender, why isn't the Maroons the one running Jamaica today?
All right. As I said a while ago, the loser, because we have a culture difference, you know, as I say, we have a culture difference. Brothers and sisters who have been domesticated and captured by the British is more to side with their oppressors, because their oppressors is the only one they've ever known love from. They've never known free love where something can really grow. So the oppressors now write the story in their favor. And when we went a even bit further, they convince some of our brothers and sisters that they are more civilized than us after the barbarity of how treating our brothers and sisters. You know of some of the treachery, the tyranny that these invaders have led out on our people. But our people who were captured still allow it. But what the oppressors did go further to do was to brand every single one of them. You know how they brand them? They brand them by giving them their documents. You as the president of the UIC, hold on, you as the president of the UIC have to apply to the Jamaican establishment to start a political party. When the Jamaican establishment is owned by the UK government, and the UK government now in return, because Jamaica is our own property, have rules and regulation that anyone that go to the Jamaica government have to abide by. As a Maroon, under the 1738 surrender, the Jamaica Corporation is beneath the Maroon. The Maroon have their owner surrendered to us.
You're going way over my head now.
My apology.
So you have to take care. You have to take time with me. Remember, I'm not reach for you there. You have a PhD in this, it appears. So what I'm trying to figure out here, in 1738, we win the war. The Maroons won the war. And the British surrendered. What happened after that? Why today it didn't look like we win the war at all? It looked like the British won the war because we end up with their birth certificate, we end up with their passport, we end up with their names, we end up with their governance structure, we end up with our economy being governed and controlled by them for the most part. So help us to understand what went wrong, because clearly if we won the war in 1738, if they surrendered to us in 1738, then Jamaica should look like, Jamaica should be reflecting, Jamaica should be the embodiment of, the representation of the Maroon indigenous people, because they, as conqueror, would now set the education system, set the policing system, set the governance system, and this conversation would not be happening now, because the British would be trying to argue about how is them really win the war when none of them. But because we would be out, or the Maroons, the Jamaican Maroon would be in charge. So I want you to help me and us to understand that, because something that seemed to connect for me.
Yeah, but may connect the dot them, man. First and foremost, let me say grand rising to all of my Maroon brothers and sisters right now, who your DNA is rising, you're tingling right now because something inside your bloodline is connected. You wanted this, you needed this. As you said a while ago, with our triumph of beating the British through our ancestors, there's one thing about our oppressors, they're very cunning. They use sarcasm, they use manipulation. I just see what's happening in planet Earth right now. They will tell you a lot of lies, and when you confront them on the lies, they will justify the lies. Our oppressors is no different. Up to this very time, they are using these cunningness. Now, why especially, and it's not just Jamaica alone, in 1933, when the British, through them trickery, had the United States go into a federal frame of mind, a state of mind, it put a number on everything on planet Earth, because the real culprit on planet Earth that is actually working for the Pope is the British Empire. The British Empire have done all the dirty work through its synagogues and its religious entrapment of our people, and have handed us over in the form of birth paper, where you become a stock and a bond. Now,
Ras Gadietzz,
yes,
you still have me a bit confused.
Talk to me.
Can you And why I am confused is that the Maroons won the war in 1738, but we can't see the evidence of that war being won, because the only document we have to look at is a document which puts the loser in a favorable light and the winner in a diminished light. Even the territorial areas that the winner claims to be theirs suggest that they are being awarded something that was already theirs, and only a fraction of what was already theirs. And is being to be awarded something means that who is awarding it is greater than who is being awarded. If I award you and say I'm awarding you for something, it's because I must be in a more esteemed position than you to be able to award you. And if you accept my award, then you're accepting it on the basis that I am in a superior position. So if I am going to let you come in, so if the treaty is written in my language, and if the treaty sounds like I am giving you something, and the treaty doesn't make clear that I have lost a war that I have waged against you, then something is wrong with that configuration.
Listen me. And I have to bring the story home right now because it seems as if to really break through this matrix that they've really put us in, we have to be real. You notice the bombs drop on the hospital in Gaza, right? And the Israelis say, well, there's a reason why we dropped the bomb, but the United Nations Charter said, and I repeat, it is a crime to destroy church and hospital. No, just like our oppressors signed the surrender treaty, the blood treaty, just because they wanted us to move away. Because when we move away, it gives them time to breathe. When they get time to breathe, they regroup and capture our people. But they didn't capture them physically. They capture them mentally. And the mental capturing is, like, for instance, when I was a little baby, and them a go around, but them a give out pole of my light is shot. My granny said, not over my dead body. Somebody them a look for kill out there. Who them? My grandmother know better than to trust the oppressors. Because just like the vaccine, and I'm not talking, just like the inoculation the other day, where a lot of people run and take and then dropping down like fly, our oppressors have never, ever been honest to us because they don't know what honesty is. You will treat them, as you said a while ago, they come to your house, you put them up for the night and go work in the morning, and when you come back from work, you find your door locked. Somebody asks what you want. These are the kind of cold-hearted colonizers that we are dealing with, and we keep having compassion for them, and they keep screwing us over.
All right, so so what I'm gathering, and mute for me again, what I'm gathering from you is that while we may have won the battle of 1738, that culminated into 1738-39, we lost the war. In that, the losers of the battle conned us effectively. They changed their strategy. So while before it was maybe a more frontal assault where they sought to invade the land, and they got to some parts of the land that was more difficult to invade because we mastered guerrilla tactics and used the hilly terrains to our advantages and so on. Yeah.
I just want to reiterate that you say we lost the war, but truth be told, all of the plantations that we burned down, our ancestors had to eradicate, the plantation owners got compensation, and the captured brothers and sisters who they brought over from Al-Cable land, who are there walking up down now without no status, don't get no compensation. The Maroons are not asking for compensation. We're doing reclaiming. We're reclaiming Garden House. We're claiming every crown land down there where them take from our people. And until we get everything, that is our stand.
I follow you, but may I go a little deeper than that, or maybe a side way? Because the way I evaluate things is on results. So, for example, in the UIC, when we're looking at candidates, for me, you're not a candidate simply because you raise your hand and say, I want to be a candidate. You're not a candidate simply because you asked to be a candidate. We have to assess it to see, do you have the competences to A, first represent yourself, and B, represent others. And so a person might come to us and think that because we're small and weak financially, we're going to take anybody. We're going to see if you can represent yourself and others. You have to have certain skills. Now, in the same way, the parallel I'm talking about with my Maroon friend and my Maroon heritage is, if we won the war, we win the war. The evidence of us winning the war would be that we control our economy. We control our schools. We control our healthcare. We control our territory, our land. If we not control them things there, we lose the war. We may have won a battle or two or many. In my assessment, and correct me if I'm wrong, while the Maroons may have won enough battles to make it uncomfortable for the invader to ignore them, uncomfortable for the invader to just carry on as usual, what it led to was the invader, as you rightly said earlier on, saying, let's use a different strategy. And the strategy they did was to lull us to sleep somewhat. Have a drink with me. Ever say a politician going to a community and want to win the community? And what him do? Him find out who are the influential people in the community and him buy them out. Him buy them a drink, get them some curry goat, get them something, and they become complacent and stop focus on the reality, the real needs of their community, and instead focus on the little bit that they will get out of the politician, and they will arrange and get him or her elected. But the long-term consequences is a place like Elam, St. Elizabeth, or Braes River, where the people are living in poverty with no industry and so on. But they have voted for years for the same people. So here it is, the Maroons, they got complacent and with the signing of a treaty or with whatever is happening. And they allowed the enemy to now become a cancer in the society. And the enemy now travel throughout and build more outposts and build more arrangements. And those who he brought over from Africa, who didn't run away and join you, he was able now to condition all of them, right? And so when he gave them independence and made them even more dependent, they now thought that this glorious God, the Queen of Heaven, was to be worshipped. And his language, his institutions, his way of living was to be embraced and say, this is what is good for us. To the point where they even accepted a document, Order in Council, called a Constitution, that tells them that their superior, their sovereign, is a white woman. The very emblem of slavery would now be their governance God. And all things would be in her name, her majesty, and later on, his majesty. And they see them as superior. May I come to you? The point I want to make is this. My Maroon friends, in my opinion, based on what you have shared with me, they lost the war. They won the battle, but they lost the war because if they won the war, I know, if they won the war, they would have reclaimed any lost territory instantaneously or progressively. They would have owned and managed their own police service. They would have owned and managed their own army. They would have owned and managed their own governmental institution. They would have owned and managed their own economy. And they would have been so powerful that no British or any other Maroons could come into their territory and control it. So the Maroons, in my opinion, my humble opinion, my unlearned opinion, definitely lost the war, even though they won battles. Go ahead now. Take it over.
It all depends, brothers and sisters, when you say we lost the war. Because you will agree with me that the pen is more mighty than the sword, will you?
Of course, it has worked.
Okay. Jamaica, the people who are living, our brothers and sisters, especially in the island of the Jamaica that they're calling it, it sits within it. The power is within their hand, The power.
Hold on. Sorry. 1 second. Pause for a second. Let's divorce two things. There is what we should have done and what we should do now. That's a given. Now, the fact is, if we're talking about history, our history, one of the reasons why I have in my own personal life, I have succeeded in many things that I have done. In fact, the hardest task I've taken on is the UIC, the hardest one. I mean, I have never taken on a more difficult task in my life. But I'm coming from a poor boy. I'm born down a Blake Road in Kingston in very poor conditions. And I have gone through that, and I have made every use of every opportunity to advance myself intellectually and financially. Now, the reason I was able to do that, and that we all can do it, I focus on truth. I like to be brutally honest. One of my weaknesses as a boy was mathematics. I was called a pretty dunce because I was, back in the day, not today, I was much more handsome as a young man, I mean, very, very handsome. My wife will tell you, I mean, it was very difficult for me to exist without a magnet of females and so on. And I mean, females of all ages, you know. Everybody just loved this little fella. He was so good looking and everything. I don't know what happened to me now. But what I'm saying is this. I was dunce in math, dunce, really dunce. And I had to just look at myself and say, Joseph Patterson, you're dunce in a math and you have to fix that. And I lied to myself and I said to myself, no, you are able, you are capable, and you're going to be great. But I had to now take steps, my brother, Ras Gadiethz. I had to now do what needed. But if I don't accept the reality of where I am, I can't take the steps to get to where I need to be. So I think we need to understand and accept where we have failed as a people. And we have to learn from those failures if we're going to make it. If we keep lying to ourselves about the reality we found ourselves in, what really happened to us, we can't. One second, we can't get to the solution. I know you're already thinking solution, because I hear you hinting at it and you're talking about, but we must be. I don't want us to tell our people.
No, Josie. Yeah. And this is where I've always said to you, because you know, when I first saw you under that shed in St. Thomas, I saw Marcus Garvey reenactment like the sand upon the seashore. Now, we have to first be true to ourselves, as you say, and accept the circumstances that is leading to our reality. I just asked a while ago if the pen is more mighty than the sword, and you acknowledged it and said yes. If I say to you, Mr. Joseph Patterson, you need to recognize your ancestors before you recognize some other entity that comes after your ancestors, and you refuse it, it is to your detriment. Our people are suffering because when we talk about Maroon, they have done so many character assassination and scare tactics among our people, where they fear what they don't see. It is easy when I say we can change the narrative. They're calling these people go around and use words and take away our wealth. The church, for instance. Hold on.
We're giving them a lot. Throughout our conversation, we give them a lot of praise because we say all that they have done to us, but we are not. I want us to understand the journey of it and really understand it exactly, and not if we say we win the war, we can't say we lose the war. You know, we have to be very clear.
We don't lose the war, but we have become lackadaisical in implementing the victory that we have gotten from our ancestors. Like for instance, Brother Patterson,
yes,
a simple move as to a status change. You know how important that is? It's very important. But our people don't want to do the work. And so the corporation has drunk them with wines and sweets and have them sleeping in the sewage. That's why you said a while ago that you have certain people who threw them born at Tibaligya and would never look upon the Labour Party and say there's a bunch of criminals just because I wish I had them born. You are domesticated politically, domesticated religiously, and our people have to wake up and realize that our destiny is in our hand. A simple status change can do a great work for us.
I follow you. Where you're heading with that. So let me ask you another question now, because I've spent more time than I should have on the last one trying to get to the real answer. So I want to ask you this now. How are the Maroons organized and governed in Jamaica? I want to understand what institutions we have in place. How organized are we? Because I know you issue ID cards to people, right? So if you're issuing an identification card, what is the political institution, the governance model, the structure that you are following?
I am happy that you asked that question. Now, we are very blessed to have some very genius people working. I want to take this time to take up my hats to Emperor L.A. Lewis. a light in this dark world that a lot of people would be lost if they weren't looking in the right way and listening. That embodiment of our ancestors has led us to create a worldwide outpost that represent Maroons. We have LA as Emperor has taken it from a community thing where they say is a compound town alone of Maroon to not only all of Jamaica Maroon, but the entire planet in the 78 shades of our color, not black, is Maroon. When it comes on to the structure of identifying ourselves, it is called a status change. Now, our status change, because they have created a birth paper with a straw man that is being discharging by the corporation, you have to have a living man or woman to confront this fairy tale that the birth paper brings with it, because some of the things that our people are going through is because they are subjected to the rules and regulation of the document that they're carrying around. So we, under the ILO, which is recognized by the United Nations, which His Excellency Robert Nesta Marley sing about it, every man got a right to decide his own destiny. Yes, under the ILO, the charter, you have the right to identify. That's why in America, you have man are dressed up as woman, so them are trans, and them can't do nothing about it because you have the right to self-identify. Now, your identity will give you some form of power. Our jurisdiction under the 1738 surrender of the British Crown that owns the Jamaica Corporation has to recognize our rights. It's not that they can't, we are not asking for verification from the Crown or Jamaica government, because our ancestors defeated those two entities. So when we start to identify, and I urge all of our brothers and sisters, both captured and indigenous people on the land, once you identify, you can form your own government, because a government is the people. Politicians are nothing more than public servants. They are put there to serve. We pay them. Police are public servants. Nurses and soldiers are public servants. Nobody that put up themselves for electoral office is a boss. So with us having a maroon government that is governed not only by maritime law, but common law and natural law, that is what our ancestors have given to us, and we're waiting for the de facto government of Jamaica and elsewhere to come out of the way so we can rule our destiny in its rightful manner.
All right, so that sounds like we'll be waiting for a very long time, since we know they won't come out of the way.
No. Hold on. Can I tell you something? Even the other day, by Jamaica not voting against the war in the Middle East, that's the de facto default. So right now, the Jamaica government is actually not recognized by other world leaders because it doesn't have a say. We don't have to fight the Jamaica Corporation. It is destroying itself as we speak, because it brings nothing as the solution for our people.
Okay, well, while it's destroying itself, I can tell you it's destroying the Jamaican people in the process. So, because they control our education, and so as long as they're educated,
no. They are offering you education that you're taking. The school, the teachers put there to teach your child.
Hold on. We have to be real here and practical. When a person exists in this country, like for me, I was born in 1971 to Ruth Williams and Joseph Patterson. Me not have no sense. Me a baby. Me don't know where I'm going. They're going to send me to Miss Johnson Basic School. They're going to send me to Dunrobin Primary School. They're going to send me to Spanish Town Secondary. And then eventually I start to think for myself, if I can, because I'm now competing with that learning. Now they too, Ruth Williams went to school up to grade 9. And that's it for her in education. But she would have been miseducated from 0 to grade 9. Joseph Patterson would have been educated. His father died when he was 12, and he was on the streets after that and figuring life out. So you can't blame the people for what them born come see, and then their culture